Hello, everyone, and welcome to this fourth episode of the Gaming Garden podcast, where we discuss everything related to farming games. I'm your host, Josh, and this week I am joined by another cozy content creator I think most of you will be familiar with already. She's on YouTube, she's on Twitch, she does a lot of things, and in everything she does, there's just so much passion, so much energy, and she's funny, she's amazing. And so we have Payton from Payton's Corner. Thank you
Oh
so much
my
for
god,
being here, Payton.
the hype! That was way too nice of an intro for me, but I am reverse to you. I am so excited to be here. I've been such a big fan for a long time. I've always wanted to work with you on something, and you've had iconic guests so far, some of my favorite cozy people, so I'm really excited to be here with you.
Thank you. It's so nice to have you. It's actually the first time we chat. It feels like we've known each other for a while, but it's the first time we
Yeah.
actually talk with each other for real. And so, for those who may not be familiar with you already, who are you and what's happening in Payton's Corner?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, my name is Payton. I run a YouTube and Twitch channel called Payton's Corner, where I do all things cozy gaming. I cover cozy game news, I make cozy game lists, I do reviews, I do gameplay, and I like to balance the cozy, cute vibes, but also be a little crazy and get a little too passionate and loud. I like to think I'm cozy ish, but I feel like I'm very loud. I feel like I'm very loud cozy. And yeah, I like to play lots of farming sim games, but not just farming games, a little bit of everything. And yeah, if it looks cute, I'm probably gonna be into it. That's how I kind of think of it.
That is fantastic. There's definitely lots of great content on your channel, so I'll put the link to that in the description. And usually we start the podcast by talking about this week's releases, but this week has been oddly quiet. As far as I know,
Finally.
no game or yeah, finally, no new game released, which allowed us to just relax a little bit, chill, go back to our backlog, our never-ending, ever-growing backlog. Uh,
Real.
yeah. Have you been playing anything interesting this week? What have you been doing with your time?
I feel like I feel like this year with cozy gaming has been like it started off quite slow, and then all of a sudden it was like a super crazy sprint. And every 5 seconds, there's like 20 games, and I can never keep up. And now finally, I think we have like a little bit of a break before things start to really pick up this summer. I've been I've been just like really revisiting some of my older favorite games. I feel kind of like I don't know, just like crazy in the head from covering so many new games like nonstop and nonstop. So I've been taking time to revisit some of my favorites. Right now I'm playing a lot of Moonstone Island. Even though it came out last September, because it just came out for Nintendo Switch, it's made me like want to start over and get really like super, super deep into it. And I've been really enjoying that as well as revisiting Stardew Valley. I was playing it a lot when the 1.6 update came out. And then I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we all played it for 2 weeks and then moved on. And so now I'm like, wait, no, it was good. Like go back to it. But what about you? What are you into the most right now?
Yeah, it's definitely tough with all of the releases. Sometimes it feels like it's the opposite of cozy because you
Yeah.
don't have the time to like really invest yourself into a game, and you just jump from one game to the next, and you don't have time to play something fully. Yeah, recently I feel like I've been going back to Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town,
I've
which
never played it.
oh, you should. It's on sale. We're gonna talk
Heard
about
that.
it more later. But it's such a classic formula, relaxing, kind of simple farming game, but it works. And yeah, it came out a few years back, but I didn't have time to like go back to it in a while. So I've been playing that recently. Also, Moonstone Island on the Switch.
Yes.
I've been playing it on PC, but the Switch port is so good. And I don't have a
Yeah.
Steam Deck, so I like to like have my Switch and play
Oh, we
anywhere.
have to get you a Steam Deck. We gotta get you a Steam Deck, like, ASAP. Like, I feel like
I know.
my life has changed since I got my Steam Deck. If I have the option to be playing something in the comfort of my bed with it like 2 inches from my face, I would rather be doing that at any time. So I feel like I mostly use my Steam Deck when I play literally anything now.
It's tempting. I just feel like it looks. I've never seen one in real life, but it looks like bulky, and I'm worried about the battery.
Yes to both of those things. It definitely is bulky, and the battery does drain pretty quick, especially if you're playing like a farming sim. Like I notice if I play like Coral Island, it's better off just sitting with it plugged in because it's
Mm.
gonna be dead in 30 minutes.
I'm also scared because the first Steam Deck has been out for a while, and I feel like if I buy one, they're gonna release a new model, like a better version, right
Oh,
after.
absolutely. That's what happened to me with the OLED. Like, I was so excited. I got my new Steam Deck. I got it for Christmas that year. And then a few months later, everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna get the OLED?" And I'm like, "No, I just got the original one." Like, I feel like they do that with Nintendo Switches too. Like, I feel like they come out with a new version of it, and then boom, next month. Oh, just kidding. There's another new version for XYZ game, and
I
I don't want
know.
to just keep buying consoles.
How many Switches do you have? Do you have a lot? Do you get all of them?
No, I just have 2, and one of them I didn't even buy. It was my brother. He got the original Nintendo Switch when it first came out, and then he never played it, and when Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, I was talking about for my birthday that year, like, "Oh, I really wanna get a Switch because I wanna play this game that everyone's talking about. It looks really cute." And my brother was just like, "I do not play this Nintendo Switch. Like, do you just want me to send you mine?" And then I said, "Yes, please." And I still mostly play with that original one, but then I do also have the Animal Crossing version as well. But I've never gotten the OLED. I've never gotten another one since. So just the 2, but I know people have like 10 Switches sometimes.
Yeah, I'm
Too
the
many
same.
for
I
me.
just have the original,
Let's
and
go.
I started having some issues with it, with the screen. So then I got the Animal Crossing one, and I've been using that one since. It's so cute. It
It
fits
is
with
so
my
cute.
setup, with my desk setup. Like the colors are so nice. And
They're so
yeah,
nice. And it's like simple to it's like simple but effective design, I feel like.
exactly. So with that being said, there's not been a lot of new releases, but there's the Steam Summer Sale going on. So we will talk about that. After the Steam Summer Sale, this one is going to be a spicy episode because we will be sharing with you our biggest farming sim hot takes.
I'm so
So
excited.
things we don't like, games we don't like. Yeah, hopefully you guys still like us after this episode. Hopefully we don't get
Oh, please don't hate
canceled,
us. We
kicked
love
out of the
you.
cozy games world. Yeah. And at the end, we will cover some news. We'll talk a little bit about Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home. But let's start with the Steam Summer Sale. Payton, have you picked up any game, or is there any game you'd like to recommend?
Yeah, for sure. I first of all, I love a sale, okay? I shop the deals all of the time with any of the things. I feel like there are so many games I already love that are on sale right now. I feel like I'm not picking up that many myself because I have a crazy amount of games that are sitting in my library that I've ignored all year. But there are a couple that are on sale right now that I really recommend. And then there's one that's too good of a deal to pass up for me that I'm really looking to purchase. Do you want to hear the one I want to buy first or like my
Yeah, which one are
favorites?
you planning to buy? Yeah.
Okay, so this is an old game, but it's been one that I've heard about for a while and it's been recommended to me. We can debate how cozy this is. I kind of think sad narrative games are cozy. But this game is called To the Moon. It's 80% off. So in USD, it's like $1.99. And it's this narrative game where these scientists have figured out a way to go into people's memories and change events of their life. But every time they do it, it can only be when someone is sadly about to pass away. So, this particular story is about them going into this older man's memory and trying to fulfill his dying wish, which is to go to the moon. I've heard it is like an absolutely beautiful story. It's got like a nice bit of narrative, but also not like just a point and click, like you get to interact with the world. And from the visuals, it's literally from, like, 2011. It just looks like a movie to me. It's been something I've been really interested in, and with it being, like, a little over a dollar, I'm like, "Okay, this is the time. This is the time for this, I think." Have you
Yeah,
played this or heard of
I've
it?
not played it. I've never heard of it.
Ooh.
When you put it in the list of games for the podcast, I looked at the Steam page
Mhm.
and I was a little bit surprised when I saw the graphics and like the trailer. I was like, "What is this game?"
Oh my
I
god.
did not imagine like I don't know, but then I saw that the reviews were overwhelmingly positive, which is like the best you can have on Steam. So
Yeah.
it has to be good. The reviews don't lie. It has to be good. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll have to open my mind and try it,
I
get past
I
the it looks like
yeah.
it's being made with, like, RPG Maker or some I don't know if you're familiar with that's the vibes I'm
A
getting, but
little bit. It's yeah. It reminds me a lot I think why I was so drawn to it, it reminds me of one of my favorite games ever, which is called Rakuen, and that's an older game too, but it came to Switch for the first time. Not I think it was last year. I think it was, like, last March or something, and it's similar vibes. It's kind of like a darker story, but told in a whimsical way, which is something I really, like, kinda eat up. It might not be everyone's idea of cozy, but to me, like, I really love narrative games because it feels almost like, I don't know, like watching a movie, reading a book. I just do this, like, usually handheld, like, in a blanket, and I'm fine with, like, crying my eyes out while I play
Mhm.
the, like, games. Like, I'm so ready to cry.
So is this the kind of game that you would stream or just, like, keep for
No,
yourself? Yeah.
mm-mm, this is for me, this is for me. I feel like a lot of people think I only play farming sims because I really only stream farming sims. But I love narrative games, I love puzzle games, but the narrative games usually I don't wanna read that much on stream. I kinda
Same,
wanna just,
yeah.
like, keep it. And then the puzzle games, I'm worried I'm gonna be too stupid for live to solve all the puzzles. So I like to keep some of them to myself. And this one seems like it'll be, like, a very impactful journey, so I imagine this is like a I don't know, am I gonna play this in the fall? I kinda want it to be like a fall night, I'm drinking, like, a hot chocolate, and then I'm trying to, like, go to the moon. It's the vibe I'm getting.
That does sound very nice, very cozy. Do you know how
Yeah.
long this game is? Is it like a
I
shorter
don't know. I don't think I don't think it's gonna be like a 20-hour ordeal, but I know it's probably at least 5 to 10, I wanna guess, just from what I've heard. But that I'm not actually sure for certain.
That's definitely interesting. I think, I definitely wanna hear after you've played it, I wanna hear your thoughts,
Yeah.
and then I might get it because it's, like, under $2 or something, so
I feel like it's I mean, if you're remotely interested, I feel like I don't doesn't get like, what's better than that price? Free? Like, I feel like
exactly.
that's so good.
It is a really good deal. I also got some really, cheap games during the sale.
Mhm.
One of them I got was PomoFarm. This
I've
one
never seen this, look at
was
this.
$2. It is 50% off. So even if you get it full price, it is affordable. I had never heard of
I
this game
love the deal.
before. I checked it out. So it is kind of like idle Pomodoro timer, which is why it's like Pomo Farm. So
Mhm.
basically, you plant some seeds and then you start the Pomodoro timer. And it looked very cute. So I grabbed it. But to be fair, I have
Oh,
49
is it
minutes in
not
it. I
it?
used it
Okay.
once. Um, like when you start working, the duck is just like sleeping and nothing happens on the screen. I thought I would like work and I would see the little duck like planting crops or like doing some activities like in Spirit City or like
Mhm.
Rusty's retirement in these games. There's like a little bit of action on the screen. But here I
Yeah.
am like working hard on my video and this duck is just like sleeping or like taking a bath doing nothing. It's not motivating me to work. It just makes me
That's
want to go
like,
take a
what's the
nap.
point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that would make me wanna be like, "Cool, I'm shutting my computer and I am going to go do what the duck is doing." It
Yeah.
looks really cute. It looks kinda, like, similar visually to, like, Sprout Valley to me, like, that it's
Yes.
that same kinda style. I don't really use a lot of these idle games, to be honest. I feel like I have to give them a go. Everyone keeps recommending, like, the exact ones you said, like Spirit
Mhm.
City Lo-Fi Sessions and Rusty's Retirement. But yeah, I feel like if it's gonna do nothing, I'd rather just, like, not have it
Exactly.
open.
It defeats the purpose a little bit, I feel like. So
Maybe he's just taking his time. Like, maybe the duck just needs to warm up, and then he's gonna get to it.
maybe if you play more, but I don't know. I'm gonna stick to Spirit City. I have like over 100 something hours in that
Oh,
one.
wow.
Yeah, when I work, I have that on the side and listen to some lo-fi, and it really helps me focus a little bit more than I would without it. So
Oh, that's so
yeah,
good. Yeah, I've always wondered, like, if people who use them find it distracts, or does it motivate you to keep going on with whatever task you set out for yourself?
for me, it motivates me because I like to have like a little bit of like you can also have like rain sounds or like
Oh.
fireplace sounds. I like to have like a little bit of white noise or like music,
Mhm.
and it doesn't move too much, so it's not distracting,
Yeah.
but it still moves a little bit. So there's like a little something you can see your character working, and like he's working hard. I want to work hard too, and
Yeah.
it motivates me a little bit. But this one didn't do it for me. Maybe it does it for other people,
Did
but
it good reviews?
I think it had like positive reviews or mostly positive. I think it was pretty good, but everybody's different, so maybe it's gonna work
Yeah.
for someone else.
Well, it
Yeah,
looks cute.
it is very
Looks
cute.
cute.
Have you picked up other? So To the Moon was the only game you picked up. So now you have a few games to recommend.
Yeah, for sure. So my number one is I feel like I can never declare my favorite farming game of all time, but this one's definitely in my top 5 favorite farming games of all time. It's not only 50% off, but they just had a giant update as well recently, and that's Sunhaven, which I know you've played a lot of as well.
Yes,
In case you guys don't know it, it is pretty much just like quintessential farming game, but in a fantastical, magical realm. It's ginormous. Like, there's so many different areas of all different kinds of fantastical elements, lots of different creatures. My favorite part about it is there's like a million NPCs to romance, and they're all hot, and they continue to give us more options. It's also really fun to decorate. It has really fun mines and fishing. And I feel like it's one of those games that its base price, I think, is actually very fair for a farming sim. I think it gives more than other farming sims that are $60 in price tag. And it's already, what is the base price? Like 30,
something
around
like that.
30.
Yes,
Yeah. And so now it's 50% off. I feel like this is such a good one to check out. They've done so many updates. There's also some, like, cosmetic DLCs you can buy. It feels like a living, breathing game that they're continuously working on. And I feel like this game, I always say, I feel like it just deserves way more love than it has. I think there are dedicated players of it, but because it's not out on Nintendo Switch yet, yet, I feel like a lot of people haven't tried this one, and I feel like they should.
yeah, it should be coming to the Switch. It is. They've been saying that for years, so hopefully
Yeah.
it happens at one point. It is definitely a real good game. There's so much to do, and maybe it's a little bit of a hot take already, but I feel like it might feel a bit bloated or like overwhelming
Mhm. Oh,
because they
yeah.
keep adding content. I feel like there's already enough content, but they keep like adding more crafting stations, more characters, more
It's definitely
places to
intricate.
visit. You already have like 3 farms. Does it overwhelm you? Does it like stress you out a little bit when you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I feel what's good about it is, in which I think we'll get into with the hot takes, the time, like the day length in a farming sim, I think is so important. And while I do actually normally like when farming sims have a quicker paced day, Sunhaven lets you change the time, and the slowest time is 40 in real life minutes,
yeah.
which I think for this game really serves because there is a lot to do. It is kind of like definitely not a beginner friendly farming sim, because it does feel like, okay, I need to make like 10 machines to do one thing. But there's something about it in this one. I don't know. It just feels so big that I feel like Yeah, I'm down to make, like, a bunch of machines and have them all be in this one side of my farm because I still have 2 other farms to decorate and have them be farmy and cute. I definitely get a little overwhelmed in it, but I think I kind of whenever I sit down to play Sunhaven, I feel like now I kind of know what I'm in for. So when I play this, I'm like, "Alright, I'm here to work," and you can save at any time in Sunhaven.
Mm.
So if it does start to feel like, "Oh my god, with this 40-minute day that I've changed the time to," it can feel like, "Okay, this is too much." You can just save midday and then pick up from where you left off, which I feel like every game needs that, to be
Definitely
honest.
with longer days like this, you absolutely need to be able to save uh anytime. It's different if like in a game where it's like Stardew Valley where like one day is like 12 minutes is not as bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, days can get pretty long in this. What I found for me, have you played with friends?
No, I haven't pl I don't have anyone to play it with.
Oh, we should play it together.
We should play together, let's
Yeah,
go.
I find that it makes a huge difference because someone can
Okay.
go mining, the other person can take care of the farm, one person can go to one of the towns, water the crops there, you water the crops in the other town, like you can divide the tasks. So I feel like
Yeah.
that makes it less overwhelming. But yeah, kind of like you now, when I play this game, I put myself in the mindset that I'm playing Sunhaven and like, yeah, I'm like ready for it. And I try to like
Different from the
not stress too
last
much.
game. Yeah, very
Yeah.
very different from the idle, chill game. Definitely a little bit more cuckoo and crazy,
You're
I
gonna be
think.
busy in this one. There's always something to do. It's not the kind of game where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do today. Maybe I'm just gonna go fishing. You always have so many things to do. It's gonna keep you busy even during 40 minutes days. So really good game.
Yeah.
If you've not tried it yet, or if you're hesitant, now I think with 50% off, you should definitely give it a try.
Yeah, I agree.
For me, there's a game that I picked up. Also a little bit of a farming sim. This game is in early access. It's called Don't Die in the West. They recently
Cozy?
did, yeah, the title. We'll get to that. So they recently did an update adding some farming to the game, but it is an open world survival crafting game. You're in the West. You inherit this ranch from your uncle, and the ranch is all destroyed. It's in ruins, so you have to like rebuild everything. And yeah, there is bandits, so there's a bit of fighting. So this game it can be a little bit tricky at first,
Mhm.
especially if you play by yourself. You can play with friends, but by yourself you will uh, die a lot.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
but it is fun. There's crafting, there's exploration. The world is quite big, but it's in the desert, so like it all looks. It's like really easy to get lost in the world.
Mhm.
I don't know. I like the vibe. I like that it's a like desert farming sim, kind of like Red Dead Redemption meets Stardew Valley or something like that. It is cute,
Yeah.
and it's 50% off, and I believe it was like
Oh,
$7 or
yeah, that's
something
really
like.
good.
So I think it's definitely worth the price. There's not like that much content yet. It's still in early access, so I'll probably wait before I go back into it more. I played for like 3 hours now. It's not like my game of the year or anything like that, but I'll definitely like go back to it when it's fully ready. So if you have like a little extra $7 to spend, I think it can be worth adding to your
I like
list of games.
I like the little saloon that you can see in the trailer, it looks really cute. Is it very combat heavy?
I would say quite combat heavy because as you explore the world, you'll find bandits
Mhm.
in a lot of places. And at the beginning, it's tough because you just have a slingshot and they have guns.
Oh,
So you have to like
that doesn't
avoid.
seem fair.
It's not fair at all. So you have to avoid their bullets while trying to throw stones at them. And it's quite tough. Um, so you got to be ready for some battles. I think once you have better equipment, it gets a little bit easier. You can also play with
Mhm.
friends. I don't know if I said that already, up to 4 players.
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta be ready for some combat. And when you die, you lose your inventory, and you have to like go back to where you died to grab it.
Okay, so it's like,
Kind of like Minecraft, or
Lego Fortnite is like that too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the enemies are still gonna be there, and it takes like 5 seconds or something. Like you have to hold the button to grab your stuff,
Oh,
but the
so
enemies
it's
are still there, and all
challenging.
of your stuff, like your weapons and everything you need, is in your stuff you're trying to pick up. So it can be a little bit frustrating when you try to grab your stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe they'll work on that as they work their way to the final release. But it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen this one before. It kind of reminds me of it kind of to me looks like Above Snakes. I don't know if you played that game.
Yes, I did. I guess it has
It
the same
reminds me of
Wild
that
West.
one, but
Yeah.
yeah, but, like, this one is more, like, bigger and I don't know, like, kind of, like, cutesier, and, they're like zombies in that game, I think. They're like
I
zombies.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks really cute. I feel like I don't see that many, like, Wild West games, to be honest, in this genre. So I do think it is kind of an interesting environment and an interesting take. I feel like I probably would definitely get lost in the desert, though.
You do get lost. There is a map, but if you don't like, I found myself opening the map all the time, just like going
Mhm.
from my home to like even not that far away. I kept getting lost because everything looks the same. I don't know if there will be more biomes later, but at least the area you start in, it's just sand and like yeah, it's so easy to get lost.
Yeah, I
But
bet.
it's a nice team though. I'm glad we get games with different teams like space teams, Wild West teams, prehistoric teams. I love the variety.
Yeah, so it's not all the exact same thing all of the time. Well, another one I have to recommend is definitely well, it's relaxing, but it could also not be relaxing if you play it like how I play it. It's called Garden Galaxy. It's 40% off, so I think it's like 5-ish dollars. And it is really cute. It's a building game where you get different items randomly given to you. Like you get these little coins or you get these little dudes. And then you stick them in this pot and then you're given a randomized item and from that you can create pretty much whatever. It's mostly garden centric, hence the name Garden
Hmm.
Galaxy, but there are kind of more farmy kind of ones you can do. There's more like city builds you can do and it has really relaxing music. You can save your builds as you go, you can start new ones. This has probably been one of my most recommended games ever. Like, I feel like I always sneak this one into, like, a list video because I think it's really great for a lot of different types of players. You can just no think it, just go and just do whatever, or you can be really strategic about, like, what items you're saving, and if you want to kind of build something very specific, you kind of can as far as the randomness will take you. And I think the randomness kind of keeps it interesting. I also like this one because they've done updates to it and they've continuously brought more and more items. And it's only a few dollars. And I feel like it's a really nice, relaxing, but also creative experience. Have you
Yeah.
played this one?
No, I've not played it yet. I
Oh,
feel like I've
you
seen like
should.
trailers and stuff, but I never played it, and it looks very interesting visually.
Yeah.
So, do you have any challenges or objectives, or you really just like build whatever you want?
Vibes, just total vibes. You can build whatever you want, and the challenge of it is the randomness of the items, and specifically, like, we can see in the trailer, like, some of the different floor patterns. So say
Hmm.
you get a grass tile, and then you're like, "Okay, cool, I really wanna make this, like, grassy area." It might be a while before you get another grass tile, so you're going to be given other items that you might not have thought about using in whatever design you were doing, and then you kind of have to decide, "Okay, am I going to adjust and make this work?" Or you can actually give the items back to the pot, and then it'll give you different ones. You also will get certain items that will increase the likelihood to get other certain types of items. Like there's like a whole water set. You could get a bunch of water features. And I know there's a coin you can get where if you use that one, you'll get more of the water type items. But I really like it because it's kind of I think of it like a creative challenge. I'm a person who like loved Animal Crossing when it was out, like New Horizons, and I always just wanted to build really intricate things. But after a while, it got very fatiguing of okay, I have to go and get all of the items that I want. And oh my goodness, I feel like I've made 20 million of the exact same thing. What I
Hmm.
like about this game is it's you never really know what you're gonna get when you open it up. You might go in thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna make a little garden today, and then it turns out to be like this beautiful multi-story like city kind of
Oh
garden
yeah.
rooftop thing, which is really cool, I think.
So every time you play, you do like a new environment, or you can go back.
You
Can
can
you?
continue
Okay.
if you want. I get a little overwhelmed sometimes because I have a really I have a hard time deciding, like, am I gonna use this item now? Should I keep it? Maybe I'll want this later. Let me just throw it off to the side. And so I'll just start, like, building these piles of stuff, like, to the side. And then whenever I come back to it, I feel a little overwhelmed. So I'm kind of usually in the camp of, "All right, I'm pulling this up. Just start over. Just start over." And you can make the shape like whatever you want. It can be something really big, it can be something super tiny. I've seen people on Twitter do just like little vignettes that they'll do
Hmm.
and they'll be all together. So there's no pressure to incorporate items that don't really go together into one thing. It's like, okay, well, this is a city item, so this can go in this tiny little square and it's going to be here and great. And then, okay, this is the farm thing. It's going to go here and great. And then somehow it all kind of works. And you can also do like night mode too, which I like. So we can have it be darker if you don't like the blaring white. I kind of don't. So I feel like every time I play it, I do the night mode. I put a little campfire. It's a vibe, I
Yeah,
think.
seems very relaxing. Like when you don't feel
Yeah.
like thinking too much, you just want to play something quick, mindless.
Mhm. Yeah,
Looks
and
fantastic.
I think it's good because it is very that, but I find that I don't get bored of it because it's different every time. So I think it's like
Great.
a nice
Yeah.
balance.
I'll have to definitely check it out.
Yeah.
And so it's just a few dollars, right?
Yeah, it's 50% off, so it's I think it's like 5.99 USD. Um, and then, yeah, like I said or it's 40% off, sorry. It's
Okay.
40% off. And, yeah, and they've come out with some different updates too in the past, bringing more and more items too, so I feel like they continue to keep it fresh. I think it's created by a solo developer too, which I think is so great, and
It's always great.
I always
Yeah.
love to see that.
Me too.
Yeah.
So the next game, this one is definitely not made by a solo developer, but it is very cheap and it's 90% off. It's also not a farming sim. It's
Okay,
American Truck Simulator. It's
cool.
currently like $2 or something like that. I bought it a while ago when it was $5. That was also a great deal. Have you played this?
No, I have not,
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm interested.
so basically you drive trucks
Mhm.
and you deliver things around the United States. There's also an European version, but I'm playing the American version. And it's just so relaxing. You just drive from one point to the other and you have to respect the traffic rules. So you have to like
Okay, so it's not like Grand Theft Auto, we're not, like, going off the rails?
no, you have to like stop at the red lights, keep the speed limit. If you get into any accidents, you're gonna get a fine. So you have to drive like well,
Ooh,
and
I
it's
would be
just
so bad.
it can be a little bit tricky at first. Uh, and you get fines like every time you do an accident, so you can lose like a lot of money very quickly.
Oh, no.
But it is so fun and relaxing to like just watch the scenery when you're on the highway. You can have a nice view on the of the ocean or like the desert. I think in the base game there's California. There's like maybe two other states in the base game. But the thing is, there's DLC,
Okay.
lots of states. So I paid like $5 for this game, but I spent like over 100 in DLC. So I
Oh
think
my
that's
god.
the catch. But it's
Wait,
nice to have yeah.
how many DLCs have you bought, or is it just each DLC is very expensive?
Each DLC, I would say like each state is maybe between like 10 to $20 or something like that. And I bought I don't know how many, but I bought a bunch of states. They don't have the whole like it's mostly like West Coast and like
Mhm.
Central. They don't have like East Coast states yet. But yeah,
The
I like to like
heck?
switch it up with the different biomes. But it's just so relaxing. You just drive. There's also like some in-game radios, or like you can
I was
put
just
your
gonna
own
ask.
music.
Okay, cool.
And
Is it just driving? Are you, like, unloading and loading whatever you're shipping?
so for the loading and unloading, you have to like park your truck in a certain
Okay.
way. That is really hard. There's an option to skip the parking, but you won't get as many points.
You have to, like, parallel park?
Like every area, every like factory or warehouse you deliver to is gonna have like a different setup, and you just have to
Okay.
put the trailer in like a specific place or angle. So sometimes you'll have to like do it like backwards, or sometimes it's gonna be like a really tight area. So the parking is a little bit challenging. It can be challenging, but if you want the more cozy experience, you can just skip the parking. And yeah, I feel like when I first saw this game, I didn't know what to think of it. Like, I'm not a trucker. I'm not like
Yeah.
passionate about trucks or anything like that. But just driving around, like watching the scenery, and it's just so relaxing while listening to a podcast. Or, uh, yeah, you do have to pay attention to the game because the driving is not automatic. Uh,
Okay.
so you have to be like active on the game, but it is very relaxing.
I love looking at the scenery. Yeah, I feel like it's not something that I would normally like, I think if I just saw the picture of it, it might be something that I'd scroll past and just assume like, "Oh, I probably wouldn't like that." But actually looking at it and, like, hearing you talk about it, it does seem like it probably is a really, like, relaxing and interesting thing, especially if you are getting all of these DLC to experience other states. I wonder if it's, like, super realistic to each state too. So if it's, like, a nice depiction if you've never been to, because I know I live on the East Coast and I've never been to the West Coast, so it could kind of be like a mini way to see the country.
Exactly. I do think they did a pretty good job from like what I've seen and experience of the state so far. It does
Mhm.
seem like a pretty good representation. Of course, it is everything on a smaller scale, so it doesn't take like 10 hours to drive from like one state to the next. So it's a shorter
Yeah.
scale. The cities usually are smaller as well, and you will just have access to like the main roads and the highways.
Okay.
Um, but it is a pretty good representation. And it's just a nice way to like almost like travel for free in the game and just see different towns, small towns, big cities, and just different environments. So yeah, I
Yeah, and
feel
you
like
said it was like 90% off or something
yeah,
like
it's like
that?
$2 or something right now. So it's definitely worth it. You can get the base game if you like it. You can get the DLC. If you don't like it, well, you just lost $2. It's not too bad.
Not that deep.
Mm,
Sounds really good.
any other good deals you recommend?
Yeah. Okay, my last one is weird. Okay. I was like, what is the weirdest thing I can bring up? But it's something have you played this before I get into it?
I did, yes.
Okay. So this is Minabo, A Walk Through Life. It's 60% off. This is low key, embarrassingly, I've put so many hours into this game. I love this game so much. It is like a social simulation management style game. You play as a turnip and you have all of these different like runs at life. And by managing your own needs and the other turnips around you, whether it be family, strangers that become friends, to romance partners, there's also pets, you have to manage your needs and their needs. And that depends on how your life goes. And if you have negative interactions, your character will get negative traits, and they might die sooner. And you're trying to, at least when I play, there are different missions you can follow along to. So a mission might be like, okay, have your turnip live to 80 years old, have 2 different romance partners, and have a pet. And it's actually very, very challenging. It's kind of dark, but also beautiful. Whenever I explain this game, I've played it on stream a lot of times. I'm always like, I'm gonna tell you about this game and you're gonna think it's so weird, but like just stick with it. It's gonna be fun. And I start getting super into it. Like I start screaming if I am so close to making it to like 90 years old and then I just die out of nowhere. I think it's really, I don't know, I think it's really unique and different. And I always have a fun time playing it. But I'm interested to hear what you thought because I know it's really specific and
It
weird.
is such a unique game. When I first played it, I wasn't sure how it was going to go.
Mhm.
But as you said, the objectives, I really like the challenges, the little
Yeah.
missions you have to do because it does get tricky. Yeah, sometimes the challenges will make it so you do have to do some bad things, right?
Yeah.
One challenge could be like, I know you need for someone to die before you, or you need to like something bad has to happen. So it's not always like trying to play perfectly,
Yeah.
and you have to like think about all of your different actions. So it looks very cozy like this on the surface, but it can get pretty
Dark.
difficult if you're looking for that. Um,
Yeah. I think one of my favorite missions, which I think is I don't know, there's, like, kind of, I think, deep messages in the game. One of the missions I remember being so hard for me was you had to have your turnip live to, like, a pretty up there number. I think it might have been, like, 80 or 90, but you have to have them live without making a single friend the entire
mm,
run, which is really challenging because the the way that you keep yourself living is to balance your sense of belonging, balance your sense of, I think it's intimacy and like physical touch. And you need that from other people. So when you have a mission like that, where it's like, okay, you're on your own, you can't make any friends, every decision you make is really important. And you realize it's really hard to have your turnip live
yeah.
without ever making a friend, which is kind of sad, but also very deep, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is the kind of game that can make you like reflect on life. And it's
Yeah.
just so sad when you see like your children like grow up and like eventually
Yes.
pass away. And it is,
But there's, like, super happy music going
I
on
know.
throughout the whole thing,
Yeah.
so it makes it okay. Like, sometimes you'll find, like, a potion on the ground, and it's, like, an instant death potion, and you'll have to pick which one of the people with you have to drink the potion, and it's so tough. But then also along the way, you can get little hats for your turnip, and the hats will give you different, like, buffs. Like, there's one hat that will make, your relationships have a more positive impact. There's a hat that will make it so that, like, any negative interaction decreases, slower, so you're not like, "Oh, no, I had a negative interaction, now I'm about to die." Like, it takes it a little bit longer. It's definitely like a weirder game. So I think grabbing it on sale if you're remotely interested in it is definitely good. This one's also on mobile too. I haven't played it on mobile. I play it on PC, but I feel like this is kind of a fun game to just like pick up and put down too if like you're on the go. Maybe not because I get like very invested in it, but I feel like you definitely can play it more casually too, especially if you play in like the free
Yeah,
play mode.
yeah.
But yeah, if you want a challenge too, I also think it's a surprising challenge you might not see coming.
Exactly. I feel like it can appeal to a wide variety of players, even though it's kind of niche, kind of
Yeah,
strange. I had no idea it was on mobile.
it
Uh,
is. I
yeah,
think it's recent, but I know it's definitely, for both Apple and Android. I know it's on both.
nice. I feel like this could be a good game for mobile because the controls, it's been a while since I played, but I think the controls
Yeah,
were pretty like straightforward.
they
So
are.
hopefully it translates well to the mobile experience, but definitely an underrated little hidden gem.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Next, there's one last game or like series I want to recommend. This one is not a hidden gem. Some people have not played them a lot,
I
but
haven't played them a
yeah,
lot.
it is the Story of Season series. So they're all 50% off, 50 to 60% off right now. So we have Mineral Town, Friends of Mineral Town, Pioneers of Olive Town, A Wonderful Life. There's Doraemon Story of Seasons, Doraemon Story of Seasons, Friends of the Great Kingdom. Um, if you've been wanting to get into this series or just get more games, because I know full price they can be a little bit expensive compared to like the indie farming games, but I think they're all good. And yeah, I just wanted to point it out. I think the Rune Factory games are on sale as well.
Oh,
Hidan, have
okay,
you
cool.
played
Lots of
which Story
options.
of Seasons game have you played?
I okay, alright. I know that you are, like, the Story of Seasons person.
Yes.
I've only played Story of Seasons Wonderful Life. Sorry,
Mm,
I didn't really like it. I didn't really like it. It wasn't my favorite. So I wanna know, which do you have a favorite that you recommend? Maybe more people who are kinda like me who I never played the older games, so
Yeah.
I'm coming at it with, like, my basis for farming sim games are, like I'm wearing, like, Stardew Valley overalls
Yeah.
today, like, Stardew Valley, Sunhaven. What do you think is kind of, I don't know, like, your
Yeah.
favorite out of all of them?
So Wonderful Life, I really enjoyed it, but it's definitely a very slow paced kind of game, and it is a
Yeah.
remake of like a game that's 20-year old. So there's not too much to do in it. Even back in the day on the GameCube, there was not too much to do in that game. It is very slow paced. I love the characters in it, but it is definitely not for everyone. I feel like for someone who started to get into farming sims recently, maybe the Doraemon game, Doraemon Story of Seasons, Friends of the Great Kingdom, which is the second. Doraemon Story of Seasons, the first one is not as good.
Okay.
That game has a good story, interesting characters. There's so much to do in terms of gameplay. Like you will be busy every day. You have quests. There is a storyline to follow, so you're not like confused about what you should do every day. You always have something next to work towards. The graphics are also very cute in the Doraemon games because it's like this watercolor kind of
Yeah, I've
style.
seen it a little bit, it's pretty.
So I feel like that one could be a really good one to start with, even if you're not familiar with Doraemon as a character.
Yeah,
Um,
because 'cause I'm not really, I think I've seen what they look like, but I know nothing about, like, the lore or anything really that deep about it.
yeah, me neither, but the story is like completely standalone, so you don't have to know about the universe of
Cool.
Doraemon or anything. So I think that one, so Friends of the Great Kingdom, or Pioneers of Olive Town is pretty good as well. It was rough, I feel like, when it first launched, but they updated the game. They fixed a lot of the issues that the game had, and there's just a lot more to do in terms of gameplay than in, let's say, A Wonderful Life. You have
Mhm.
makers, you have crafting. Yeah, the characters are not necessarily the most interesting, but like the gameplay itself, the gameplay loop is very addictive, and there's a lot more
Okay.
to do. So
Yeah, that one gets recommended to me a lot.
yeah,
I haven't played it yet. Maybe now that it's on sale, though, I mean, it's a definitely more enticing price, 50 to 60% off.
yeah, I think most of them are 50% off. And Mineral Town, which is the one we're seeing if you're watching on YouTube, this one is 60% off. So this is the older one. It's also a remake of a Game Boy Advance game. So it
Okay.
is a little bit more simple, but I feel like it has more to do and more content than in The Wonderful Life. Yeah, it's like the classic farming sim formula. If you want to see where farming sims kind of started, you want to experience what the first farming games were like, but with modern graphics, I think Friends of Middleton could be a good pick.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
yeah,
Maybe I'll check it out.
you should. So, these were all of our picks for this Steam summer sale. I hope you listeners find some games to play next. And next, Payton, are you ready for our next section,
I'm ready.
the
I'm ready for
spicy
this.
section? All right. So we're gonna
Spicy.
chat about our farming sim hot takes.
Right.
Who wants to start?
I feel very passionately about my first one, and I feel like maybe it's not that much of a hot take, but I feel like I'm very passionate about it. I don't think there's, like, a single farming game that I like how it starts. I feel like every single farming game is some relative died. Boom, here is the farm. Or more recently, because it started to be a trope of relative died, here's the farm. I feel like every farm game now is, "Oh my god, got shipwrecked. I crashed on this
Mm.
random island, and now for some reason, the only way I can survive is to take over this rundown farm that no one cares about." I don't know what my solution is, but I feel like every time I start a farm sim, I'm like, "Okay, just put me on the farm." Like, at this point, we've been there, done that. What
Yeah,
do you think?
I have to agree. Partly. So I do agree that a lot of farming games are not very creative. with their storyline, and they could definitely do a better job. Which is why actually Doraemon Story of Seasons, Friends of the Great Kingdom, I hate saying that name, it's so long,
It's
but
long, yeah.
the story is definitely a bit more in depth. I don't remember it up off the top of my head, but there's more dialogues, there's more stuff going on. You're in like this alternate universe that you end up in, and there's more like mystery and there's more going on. So I feel like if you're looking for a farming sim with a little bit more of a story, this could be a good one. But also,
Yeah.
I honestly I don't really care too much about the story in most farming games. I just want to plant my
Really? So
turnips.
you just wanna get right into the gameplay?
Yes. I want to make my own story most of the time, so I don't care too much about what's happening. I don't want to read through 55 minutes of dialogues. I just want to
Yeah.
get started and play on my farm. So, yeah,
So
but
interesting. I feel like I'm the opposite. I feel like if a farming sim doesn't have a story I care about, I don't really even wanna farm. I feel like maybe it's because I do like so many, like, visual, like, novel games too,
mhm.
that I feel like maybe it's also because I am outside of content creation, like, I'm first and foremost like a writer, so I'm always like, "Alright, what's the purpose? Why is this happening? Why am I here? Why do I care?" Because I feel like so many farming sims, they do have the same mechanics. So I feel
Mhm.
like for me, I am always looking for, well, okay, why though? Why am I doing this instead of
Yeah.
just to do it?
That's fair. Is there a foreign game that you feel like manages to do that a little bit better, that has an interesting story, or you've not found it yet?
I think Coral Island's one of my favorite farming sims, but it still feels so unfinished to me. I like what's there. I like the idea of cleaning the ocean. I like the idea of the merfolk. I feel like that's something that's different and restoring this like merfolk mermaid kingdom because the ocean has been destroyed by this company, blah blah blah. Um I like it, but it doesn't feel done yet. I feel like Stardew Valley has a really great one because I feel like a lot of the farming sims do take on the same story of like, okay, we need to choose small business over the local, like the corporation that's coming in. But with Stardew, I feel like it does feel so complex. And I do like that you can take the alternative route and you can play on the like the Joja side too, if you want to see what it's like to do that kind of corporate style as well. But yeah, I actually do feel like it's one of the things that disappoints me about most of the farming sims. Um, it's just like it's the same start every time, and then it's I don't know. The same thing in a different font is how it kinda feels to me a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But at least the characters usually make it different. So if the actual story is going to kind of be the same, then I definitely put a bigger emphasis on the characters to be unique and different and to draw me in. Which I feel like a lot of the times they end up doing.
Yeah, the characters definitely, I feel like that's where most of the story is, more than the main storyline. It's all the little side things, all those side stories with the characters that can be interesting, which actually brings me to my second hot take. I feel like relationships in farming games are overrated. Or I feel like people
Mm.
put so much emphasis on the romanceable characters. Can I
At
marry
me,
this
at me.
character? I want to marry everybody. I want to date everybody. But
Yeah,
for me as a player, I feel like, yes, it's nice to get to know these characters, but they don't give you anything in a lot of games. I want my spouse to water my
true.
crops. I want my spouse to cook me
Get
some
to work.
meals. Yeah, I get to work. But I feel like they don't do anything in a lot of games. So, in terms of gameplay,
Yeah, they
I
just like
feel like
move
if
in.
it's not gonna provide anything, why is it in the game?
Mm.
So in a lot of games, I just don't care. Like Sunhaven, I have like maybe one heart with everybody, and I'm 100 hours in. I
Really?
don't chat with anyone. I don't. I just do my
There's a
own thing
lot
on
of
my
them.
farm. Yeah, that's the thing too. There's too many characters. Like in Coral Island, Sunhaven, there's just too many characters. I don't know them. I don't remember their names. There's just too many.
I love that though. I feel like that's what makes it fun to me is I love getting the cutscenes. I totally agree. Like gameplay wise, they don't do anything. They just hang around your farm, and now you're like, oh, I got this person living with me. Like what?
Mm,
What? Okay, now you're just taking up my cute space I designed. But I do like getting to know them, especially when, on the surface, maybe they're like a rude character and then, you get their backstory and you find out why. I do tend to like it, but one of the only farming games I feel like I've actually seen my spouse serve purpose is Echoes of the Plum Grove. Because
yes.
in Echoes of the Plum Grove, like you can start collecting money from your spouse, like, oh, hey, thanks for your hard day of work. I'll take your money now, which I kind of think is fun and interesting.
Yeah, Plum Grove is great for that. Like lots of things I don't like with farming games. Typically, I feel like Plum Grove managed to fix.
Yeah,
And you do have to get married in that game because if you don't, you're just gonna die, and
that's it.
that's it. So I feel like the characters were not like that interesting because the dialogues were kind of like random. But in
Mhm.
terms of gameplay, I feel like they completely nailed it.
Yeah, I agree. One of my hot takes I kind of mentioned a little bit before. It's something I totally changed my opinion on when I first started playing farming sims. I feel like most people would say that they think most farming sims the day goes too fast. Like
Mm,
I definitely don't know about you, but like I've had so many people in my live streams be like, "This game looks so cute, but the days go so fast. It just makes me anxious. Like it doesn't make
mm.
me feel good." I remember a lot of people saying that about Fae Farm when it really is just very similar to Stardew Valley, where it's like I don't know, like slightly under 15 minutes for the day. And, now they brought out the option to be able to change the day length, which I always like, but I've actually grown to prefer the speedy days. I feel like most people don't like that, but I kinda like that it's like, "Okay, I've got 15 minutes to make something of this day. I gotta get my booty to the blacksmith before they close. I gotta go buy my seeds because they're closed tomorrow." I kinda love like that pressure because I think in a lot of farming sims, because there's not always such a concrete story that you have to follow, I think putting that little bit of pressure keeps me motivated to actually keep doing stuff. Whereas sometimes when I have too much time, then I'm like, I don't know what to do because I could do anything.
I completely agree. I
Let's
do
go.
love the option for like players who like different things to be able to change the length of a day. But the first farming game I played was Harvest Moon 64. I don't know if you've ever played it, but the
No.
days in that game are, I think, 7 minutes long.
Oh, that's fast.
That is really fast. Even though time stops when you're inside buildings, it is
Mhm.
extremely fast. And one thing I like about farming games is, like you said, that time management aspect of like, okay, I gotta go to that shop. I also gotta water my crops.
Yeah,
I want to talk to this person, give them a gift, and you have to plan your schedule in a way that you're gonna make sure you do everything. And then you're busy all day long, and then you come back home before passing out at like 11 p.m. and you feel fulfilled because you did so many things in your day. Whereas
yeah,
if the day is 30 minutes long, you do all of your stuff. There's no rush. You just take your time. And then it's 4 p.m. and you're like, okay, what do I do? Do I go to bed? And like that's one thing with
yeah.
A Wonderful Life. I ended up going to bed, even though I love that game. I went to bed at like 4 p.m., 5 p.m., slept like 15 hours a day just because there was not
You are
too
well
much to
rested.
do. I was definitely a well rested farmer, yes.
I love that.
But I
Yeah.
could, yeah, that's one thing I completely agree with. And I feel like a lot of people with cozy games, they want no stress, they want a very peaceful, chill experience. But I kind of like my games to have a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, me too.
And this brings me to my next hot take. I feel like cozy games, the concept of cozy games, ruined farming games, or like negatively impacted farming games.
How
So
so? I wanna
let me
know.
explain. So old farming games, I'm gonna take Harvest Moon 64 as an example. A lot of the characters had darker stories. So you had
Mm,
like fight between family members. You had topics of like alcohol. You had maybe a child whose mom passed away and she was like always sad and like talking about that. There was lots of dark
Yeah.
stories. If you worked too hard, you were sick for like one day, you lost one day, and then you woke up the next day and you didn't feed your animals were sick, so your animals could pass away.
Oh
If
no.
yeah, if there was a storm, your greenhouse that cost like 30,000 coins could get destroyed and you lost like all the crops inside.
Oh
It was
no.
very brutal and that's what made the game kind of challenging.
Yeah.
But now with this trend of like everybody wanting their game to be really relaxing and cozy and developers leaning into that more and more, I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of the challenge, a lot of the stakes and the things that made those games exciting is going away gradually. And there are some exceptions, like Echoes of the Prom Grove, where
Yeah.
your actions really do have consequences. You can get sick, you can pass away, your spouse can die the day before your wedding. Like you never know what's gonna happen. So I like that, but I do feel like since the cozy games are like going upwards in popularity, we do get more farming games, but a lot of them are too easy. So
Yeah.
that's my hot take. Yeah.
No, yeah. I think that I agree with I think most of that. Um I think that's kind of what makes a lot of new farming sims feel lifeless to me. Because I am like the person that's like, okay, well what's the point? I
Mhm.
like it to be challenging, but I do think some of those features would like if my animals die, I think I will be so sad. I think I will be so upset that I feel like it might take me out of it. Um, I think that's what I like about Echoes of the Plum Grove, though, is you can change the settings. So you can make it like, okay, your character can't get sick. Where I like it with the stakes of, okay, my character could get sick and die. So I have to figure out how I can manage myself accordingly. But maybe you don't like, I don't know, maybe you like some of the challenge. Like in that game, your food goes bad, which I think is so clever. Like, oh my God, these crops that I just
Yeah.
spent so much time planting. What do you mean they're gonna go bad in 4 days? So you can keep that challenge on, but if you don't wanna see, like, all of the NPCs die super quick, you can change the settings to make them age slower. I think I kind of like when there are options because I do think I like farming sims to be a level of relaxing, but also giving me excitement because otherwise, if it is just they're handing everything to me, then why do it? I think a lot of farm sims, their way to make it challenging will be they'll just have everything be super expensive.
Yeah.
Like in Stardew and Coral Island, it's like so much money to do one thing, but that's because they want to not just make it super super easy. Um which I appreciate, but also is sometimes frustrating because I know, like, in Stardew Valley, if you pass out I think they changed it recently to make it a little bit less, but I know it used to be if you passed out in the mines, you lost, like, everything. You lost, like, so much money. You
Mm,
lost, like, 10 items. I think they cooled down on it, but I do still like having some added stakes because otherwise, what's the
yeah.
point?
I think the best of both worlds is definitely having the settings, like in Plum Grove, where each player can customize their own experience. I think every game should have just more settings like that to please
Yeah,
everybody. Yeah.
I agree. Um, one of the things that I think is a hot take is maybe it's just me not knowing how farming works in real life. I I hate scarecrows. I think
Oh.
scarecrows are so stupid because I feel like in every farming sim ever, they're like, "Okay, you have to make a scarecrow because if you don't have a scarecrow for literally 1 day, your a bunch of your crops will be eaten. But this basic scarecrow will only cover, like, 2 squares, and then you have to upgrade the scarecrow to make it cover more room." And I feel like I never know how much room it's covering, and I feel like they look ugly and unnecessary, and I wanna know how bad of a threat crows are in real life. Do we need this? Do we need this? Maybe
Yeah.
that's just me.
I don't mind too much. I'm kind of neutral to Scarecrows, but I hate when the game doesn't show you their
The
range.
radius.
Like I
Mhm.
think Coral Island shows you, but some other
Yeah.
games they will just tell you in the description, and you have to like calculate, but you don't always know. Like sometimes the description is not very clear, and it's hard
Yeah.
to just calculate. And then you have to plan your farm layout based on that scarecrow radius, and sometimes it doesn't look the best, or it doesn't work
Mhm.
with like the radius of your watering can. So sometimes like it messes things up a little bit. In Story of Seasons games, there are no scarecrows.
Oh, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess that's a bonus point. Yeah,
Yes.
but I think that's my problem with it is, like, okay, Coral Island, yeah, I think is good because they do map it out and show you, but when a game tells me, "Okay, it's going to cover this many squares by this many squares," I still somehow always do it wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
I still always have, like, one little crop that gets eaten, and I just think it's so, like, annoying and unnecessary because it's like, okay, you can upgrade your scarecrow, but it's like, in real life, do I if I buy a fancy purple scarecrow, is it going to ward off more crows?
Probably
I don't
not.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I just don't wanna deal with it, and I don't wanna do it.
That's a good one. Yeah. My next hot
Yeah.
take is kind of a small thing, but it annoys me a little bit. 30 days is the best amount of days in a month. A lot of games, Stardew Valley had 28 days, and I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of games copied the 28 days of Stardew Valley. And some people like it, some people don't, but I don't because with 28 days in a month, every week is kind of like the same. So you
Mhm.
know that the 7th, the 14th, the 21, they're all going to be Sundays, and it's all going to be like the same rigid, like formulaic thing every month. Whereas with 30 days, sometimes the Wednesday could be on the 3rd, and the next month, the Wednesday going to be on the 4th. So like the
Yeah.
schedule of the shops is always going to be a little bit different. So you have to be like on top of your schedule a little bit. You have to know like what's happening. And in real life, most months have 30 days, not 28. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels more organic. And yeah, so 30 days over 28. What do you have any thoughts on that? On that?
I actually like the 28 days. I kind of maybe it's because I think I get distracted super easy. And I feel like I never check the calendars in any farm sim. I'm missing everybody's birthday. I'm not going to remember the event until they give me like a little pop up and they're like, oh, by the way, do you want to go to this dance? It's happening now. Maybe you should go. I won't remember until then. So I feel like I personally like the structure of it being like, okay, we're starting, it's always starting on a Sunday, or is it always starting on a Monday
I guess it
usually?
depends on the game, probably.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes they'll start on the Sunday, sometimes they'll start on the Monday. I like that though because it does kinda help me feel like I'm staying with it, but I get
Mm,
what you're saying. It's not realistic at all, and it would kind of change it up and make it feel less like, okay, I know and, like, I feel like each year of a farming sim, there's not that many differences between year 1 and year 2. I feel like the most I see in a lot of farming games is like, okay, year 2, you got a few new crops. So I think that having it be like that, where it's 30 days, then it would be at least a little bit different spring year 1 to spring year 2, which could change it up a little bit, but I feel like sometimes I do need a little structure. I kinda like the structure of it.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my hot takes is I feel like there are certain mechanics in farming sims that I straight up ignore. Specifically, if a game has bug catching of any kind, I'm not catching a bug. I don't want to I'll catch a fish all day. But you hand me that net and you ask me to catch some bugs, I'm not doing it. Same thing with cooking. The only reason you'll ever see me cooking is if I'm really really desperate to get a relationship point with someone. Otherwise, it's a mechanic I just totally ignore altogether,
Mm,
and I definitely tend to prefer just the farming, just the fishing, and then the mines, but catching bugs, cooking, it's gonna be a no for me most of the time.
yeah. I feel like the issue with that is that a lot of games don't really incentivize the players to cook. Like in a lot of games, you can just, if you're tired, you just go to bed and you wake up the
Yeah.
next day full of energy, or you can go to the hot springs, and it's never too hard to restore your health. So I feel like that's an issue with the design of a lot of these games. One example, it's more of an RPG than a farming sim, but I don't know if you've played Harvestella.
No, but I watched some other people stream it, and it looked a lot different than I thought it was going to be just based off of the trailers, and it did look like I don't know, I don't know why I thought it was going to be just mostly combat, and not that much farming, but it actually seemed pretty interesting from the little bit that I saw.
It is a really fun game, and the cooking is actually really important in that game because you have like a stomach meter, and if you don't eat, your health will not go back up. And
Okay.
when you wake up the next day, you're still gonna be hungry, and your health will also not go back up. So you
Mhm.
have to make sure you eat every day if you want to be able to do things. And you also have a lot of the side quests in the game are related to food. So the game like really incentivizes you to cook all of the different meals, grow all the different crops. So I feel like the way they did it was really good. Because I also don't cook in a lot of games unless it's to like complete. If there's an encyclopedia or
Yeah.
like something where you have to like get everything, then I will cook. But otherwise, I don't cook that much in farming games, which
Yeah.
brings me to another little hot take I have is that most games have too many crops. Like
Really? Too many?
too many. Like in Coral Island, I start the month
Yeah.
and I go to the store and there's like 20 different crops. But since I don't cook, I don't need
There's
to.
no point, yeah.
There's no point. I like when a game has fewer crops, maybe 5 per season, but they all have a purpose. Like one is going to be good for making money, one is going to be good for gifting that certain character, one will be great for cooking that certain dish that's
Mhm.
really nice. I like when like I know that each crop has a different purpose. I feel like just a lot of games like Sunhaven 2, so many crops. You have 3 farms, 3 like environments for like different crops. There's like 10 to 20 in each one. It's just
Yeah.
overwhelming because I want to plant everything, but then I have to plan my fields. I have to make like these huge fields for everything, and then my bag is full because the
Mhm.
seeds take a lot of space. That's why I liked Roots of Pacha, where you had like a little separate bag for seeds.
Yeah, I really liked that too.
Yeah, because just too many crops, too many seeds.
Okay, I totally disagree. I love it. I love when like there's 8 million billion crops, and then I love when it's like, okay, you survived year 1. Here's like 5 more crops per season. I think for me, one of my favorite things about farming sims is I do like using the crops for decoration and aesthetics, I think, more than
Mm,
actually, like, selling the crops or cooking with the crops. I feel like I definitely it takes me a while to get to the decor part for
yeah.
sure, but I feel like in my brain, I'm always thinking of it, like, aesthetically, and so I'm like, "Yeah, this little section could be where I have these, and these," and then, like, I know in Stardew Valley, I have, like, a ridiculous, like, vineyard because I just have a million kegs and I just wanna make wine. So I actually really like having, a lot of crops. What I don't like about it though is just the variety of how quick some of them grow compared to other ones because I feel like they never look perfect.
Mm,
I want like, I'm that person that waits to harvest them until they're all there
yeah.
because I'm like, I want it to look beautiful and nice. But I do like having options a lot. I don't know, I feel like the only time that I don't like a lot of crop choices is if the game has a lot more things to do in it otherwise. Like, well, Moonstone Island has a lot of crops too, but it's really not that much about the farming compared to other
Yeah.
things, I think, in that game. So I don't mind there being significantly less. I think there's like a really significant less than like Coral Island. Um,
But they
but for
all
that
have their
game,
own purpose. Like one is gonna
they
be for
do.
taming, one is gonna be for HP, one is gonna be for stamina.
That's
So that's
true.
one thing.
Yeah.
One thing I like is that they're all here for a reason. Like in Coral Island, I feel like you could remove half of the crops,
Oh
and
yeah,
no
you
one
wouldn't
you would
even
not
care.
notice the difference in the game.
Yeah, and they just announced like in their like roadmap and their dev blog that now we're going to be able to have an underwater farm too. So now we're going to have even more crops. I wonder if maybe they'll bring some kind of purpose to those crops, like maybe those crops can help you with something under the water. Otherwise, I feel like yeah, I feel like they really do just serve to look cute. And otherwise, like especially I think in a lot of farming sims, there's not even an importance on gifting villagers certain crops because they like so many different things. And I think a lot
Mm.
of the villagers or the NPCs will have like universal likes that are easy. So I know in Coral Island, like one of the things that everybody likes is like a coconut, I think, like a coconut drink.
Mm.
So it's like, all right, I don't need to guess what this person likes. Here, just take this coconut drink and shut up. And so there's less of an incentive, I think, to find whatever specific thing each one likes. The only time I really find myself using the specific crops or anything is if there is like a Stardew Valley community center or a Coral Island like offering situation. Um, Otherwise, they're just there to look cute for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I also agree. I do like when characters are more picky, when they have
yeah,
like a specific, like they like two or three things, and you have to like learn what they like and stuff. But yeah, in Carl Island, I feel like you can just give them whatever, and it will end up
yeah, it's
working.
fine.
Yeah,
And also, I don't think you like most games you don't lose friendship points for giving them something they didn't like. So it's
yeah. It
whatever.
depends on the game, but yeah. Do you have any last hot take?
think I think that was most of them. I think the biggest hot take I don't know is necessarily that hot because I think most people would agree.
Mm,
I feel like across the board, it's hard to make a unique farming game these days. I feel like a lot of games that are trying to be different are now all leading to the same thing. Like I feel like now we're starting to see a lot of space farming games. We're starting to see a
yeah,
lot of like witchy farming games. It's like, okay, we're different, we swear, but we're gonna do this other thing that now everybody's starting to do. And it does make me, I feel like, get less excited about upcoming farm sims because, like, I know, for example, one that my community keeps asking me to play is Ever After Falls,
yeah.
and I don't really know that much about the game other than farming, but with animals as the NPCs. So I keep saying, like, okay, well, what is it other than farming with, like, little animal NPCs? Like, what's different about this one that makes me want to spend 20, 40, $60 on a new game? So I don't know. I think that's my one thing. I believe that there can be new and unique farming sims, but I feel like it is getting increasingly harder because I think every new farming sim that comes out has to have mechanics that we know we like that are already in other farming games. Because if they don't have fishing, if they don't have a mine, if they don't have characters you can, have friendship with, then it feels like something's lacking. But in implementing those techniques, it's easy for people to just say, well, this is exactly like Stardew Valley. This is exactly like Story of Seasons. So I feel like it's becoming harder and harder to be innovative with farming sims.
That is so true. I do like that we have more choices. So, like, if there's a specific theme you like more, you can go for that game instead of the other game. But in the end, a lot of them do end up looking like just the same game with a different coat of paint and
Yeah.
slightly different characters. So I'm hoping that in the future we'll get farming games with more diverse, unique gameplay mechanics, and as you said earlier, with better stories maybe as well.
Yeah.
Before we get into our news, I have one last hot take. So I do like sometimes very simple fishing mechanics, like in a Wonderful Life where you just like press one button.
Mhm.
But fishing in Stardew Valley is actually a lot of fun.
I love it too. I'm so
Okay.
glad you said that. So many people hate it. I
I know.
love it.
I love it too. That's all. I don't have anything else to say. I just love it. I like
Yeah, I
clicking and I like the little challenge. And I feel so proud and like accomplished whenever I get a fish.
Yeah, and I like that the day stops too when you do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I don't you don't feel like you're wasting your time even if you miss the fish. But yeah, I don't like when it's just click. I'm like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
it's too easy. Give me something spicy." So yeah, I agree. I really like it.
Yeah. I don't mind the simple one. I don't like when they try too hard to do something quirky,
Mhm.
like Plum Grove.
I didn't like that one. I didn't
Yeah,
like that one.
it's too
It
much. It doesn't feel like fishing.
no, it
Like no
doesn't.
one fishes like like you have to follow the little. It's just so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it just takes too long. Like if it it's
Mm,
fine that it pauses the day, but if it's going to take me a long time in real life, then I just don't wanna do it. Then I'm just gonna wanna catch one fish and move on. That
yeah.
doesn't incentivize me to keep doing it.
Well, I'm glad we agree on that. We agreed on a lot of these hot takes actually, but I'm
We
sure
did!
listeners, let us know in the comments your thoughts on all of these. Hopefully, you still like us.
Tell us that
And
we were wrong.
before we wrap up, we are going to take a quick look at an upcoming farming game that was announced a while ago, but last Thursday, they showed the first little bits of footage, some
Mhm.
screenshots for Harvest Moon Home Sweet Home. So this is the next Harvest Moon game. Their previous one was Harvest Moon The Winds of Anthos. And
Yep.
this will be for mobile. I made a
That's
video
gonna be
talking more in
fun.
depth about this, but Peyton, do you have any thoughts looking at these screenshots?
Um, okay, so Winds of Anthos was my first one. I did like it. I feel like I liked it though for like a second, and then I feel like I haven't been going back to it. Farming Sim on mobile, I feel like that is going to be so interesting. I I feel like I don't play games on mobile ever. I feel like maybe under like, 'cause I work from home, and so I'm not doing, like, a lot of commuting and stuff anymore. I feel like if you're on the go, it might be really fun to just, like, pop up a game on your phone, but I feel like all the time when I have the option, am just like, "Alright, I'm gonna sit at the PC or I'm gonna open the Switch." Um, it looks interesting to me, though. It looks very similar to Winds of Anthos, so I'm interested to see what the differences are gonna be other than maybe the, like, lack of, like, random tigers and, like, lions that are just, like, around. What do you think about this, though?
Yeah, well, first the mobile part. Just like you, I don't go out that much, and usually when I go out, I'm with friends or like family, and I don't necessarily like play a ton of games. But I
Mhm.
do like the idea of having a little mobile game in my a little farming game in my pocket.
Yeah.
If the game allows you to like save at any time, I would love to just like open it up, harvest a few crops, turn it down, turn it off, and then also I know there's gonna be no microtransactions, so it's gonna be
Well, that's good.
just a one-time purchase. It's gonna be like a standalone, like proper game, so it won't have like these mobile game kind of gimmicks that can be annoying. So it's really a game, more like in your typical farming sim genre. And it does look pretty good. It looks like the Winds of Anthos graphically.
Yeah.
The main thing with the story is that it will take place in one town instead of like in an open world with like five different towns. And that's one thing I didn't like about Winds of Anthos,
It's
exploring
too
the
big.
world, the open
Mhm.
world, going to like all these different towns that were not like that interesting.
Yeah. It was very
Uh,
sparse for, like, an open world, I think.
yeah, the exploration was not that great because yeah, it was sparse. There was not too much to do or see,
Yeah.
besides like taming the wild tigers. So
Yeah.
I do like the idea that it's gonna be like a more compact, smaller world. Hopefully, it will also make it look better. They're gonna have the chance to put more details into each little area.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite excited for this one.
Do we know how much it's gonna cost?
I don't know. I think it's not their first mobile game. They had Harvest Moon Light of Hope, Harvest Moon
Mhm.
Seeds of Memories. They had a few Harvest Moon on mobile before. I think typically they were like between $15 to $20. So I don't think it's gonna be
Okay.
the same price as Winds of Mantos. It should be like a little
Cheaper.
bit on the cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. I think it. I think it will give options to people who want to get into farming sims and maybe they don't have a gaming PC or maybe they don't have a Nintendo Switch. If it's good, I think that yeah, making it one town and making it more compact definitely will suit the format that it's going to be. Yeah, I can't imagine like exploring, like, Winds of Anthos, like, on my phone. I
Oh
feel like
no.
that I wouldn't wanna do that. Um, so I'm interested. Yeah, it looks very, very similar to me. I mean, their style is very clear, like, the NPCs look exactly
Yeah.
the same to me, and the world, like, you could show me this still, and I would be like, "Oh, okay. I've played that."
Yeah,
So I'm
you wouldn't know
interested
the
to
difference. Yeah.
see like, how do we innovate, and can we really innovate that much for a mobile farm game? Or is it just to give an option for people who don't
Yeah.
wanna play PC or Switch?
I don't feel like it's gonna be innovative in any way. I feel like it's gonna be like a very straightforward classic formula just to give an option to
Yeah.
those who don't have a PC or a Switch, and just because there's tons of people that just play games on their phone.
Yeah.
So it's gonna make the series and then just farming games in general a lot more accessible because there's not a lot of farming games on mobile that are not like with tons of in-app transactions.
Yeah.
There's Stardew Valley, there's My Time at Portia, but these are PC ports, so they don't play as well, and they were not designed with mobile in mind, so they're
Yeah.
kind of like a little bit clunky or tedious. So this game should release in August. Do you think you'll be playing it?
I think I'd give it a go just to see. Maybe also just as a test for myself of, like, do I even like to play on my phone? Because I feel like if I ever do play a mobile game, it's usually, like, a simple game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't really know that I don't know. I don't really know if I'm like the target for it, but I like that it's an option. I like that it's an option. I'll probably give it a go just to see like taking the mobile aspect out of it, like the actual game itself. Do I like it? Because I know that like the Harvest Moon, like the new games across the board have not been well received
Yeah.
other than the Winds of Anthos, which was my first one, which I did enjoy. I enjoyed it like enough. Like I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
good. But I'm interested to see if maybe this one will be good as like just judging the game content, but
Yeah.
also seeing if this is good, if this is a successful experience, will we start to see more farming sim games designed for mobile that are not just, like classic mobile
Yeah.
games where it's like you can plant one crop and then come back in 20 hours and plant another one or give me $1 to do it now. It'd be cool to see something expand past just that.
Definitely could be the start of like a new trend or something if the game does well enough. And who knows,
Yeah.
maybe they will port that game to the Switch or PC later
Yeah.
on. Because I know they did that with Light of Hope. I don't know if it came out on mobile first, but anyway, they end up porting a lot of their games to other platforms. So hopefully it does as well with this one.
Yeah.
But we covered all of our topics. It was so interesting, Payton, to chat with you. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners? Any
Thank
self
you.
promo or anything you want to say?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Josh. This was so great talking to you about all of this stuff. I love cozy games in general, but I really love farming sims. So I always really love checking out your stuff because I feel like you find every in any farming game. Like if there's farming in it, you're on it and you know about it. And I love to see your thoughts on things. So this was really fun to get to talk to you about all of this. And thank you guys for listening. If you want to find me, I'm Peyton's Corner everywhere, Peyton with an A. And yeah, I post on YouTube. I live stream right there. I also multi stream on Twitch as well. I'm on Twitter, fangirling about cozy game news when it drops. And yeah, I'm excited to hear what everyone's thoughts are. I want to see like spicy hot takes in the comments.
Yeah, definitely tell us all of your hot takes. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Payton, for accepting my invitation. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.